Hi, my name is Vanessa van Dijk, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can use cleanser, sunscreen, primer, foundation and setting powder. Those are the steps that I want to share with you, so let's look into the order of application and some example products before I'm getting started with the entire application. So you're going to get started with your cleansing step to properly remove any excess oil, dirt and sweat from the skin. Now this can be a gentle cleanser suitable for your skin type, or maybe an exfoliating acid cleanser or gentle scrub, especially if you should experience textured skin or like flaky skin, so that you can remove the excess skin buildup so that the foundation, BB or CC cream will lay out more smoothly on the skin surface. So go ahead and adjust it depending on your skin needs. Then wash your face, rinse it off, pat the skin dry. Then move on to your sunscreen step. Now this can be an hydrating regular sunscreen or a moisturizer that already contains SPF. Still, I recommend working with something that adds hydration to the skin while protecting the skin, so that again you will have more of a smoother skin surface, still protection when layering down your foundation, BB or CC cream on top. After you have applied your sunscreen, I recommend waiting some time in between so that the sunscreen has enough time to set before moving on to your makeup products. So this can be between 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even up to 15 minutes. And then you can move on to the application of your primer. Either apply it over your face and neck, or only where you should feel the need, mainly on your T-zone sometimes, depending on the primer that you may be using. Apply it to the skin, leave it on the skin, there's no need to wash it off. And then you can move on to your foundation, BB or CC cream, so you can exchange it depending on what you're currently using. It won't change the order of application. And then lastly, you're going to set it with powder, setting powder. This can be either over the entire face or just around the eyes and maybe laughing lines, where it still can settle quite easily into those fine lines. And so then there you have an example of what a simple routine can look like when working with makeup products as well. And so I'm now going to get started with the entire application so that you can see it visually. So as an example, I'm going to use a gentle cleanser, which is by Cetaphil, which is suitable for combination to oily skin. This is just one example. If you should have a different one, replace it. Just make sure to read on the back of the packaging on how you should use your cleanser, since the directions may change. So you can either apply to dry skin and then rinse it off with water, or most commonly they will tell you use it on wet skin and then rinse it off. Now with gentle cleansers, they usually can be used around the eyes. There shouldn't be an issue. With an exfoliating acid cleanser or scrub, I recommend being careful around the eyes, because the eyes are quite sensitive, and please do not use it on top of your eyelids. Nor get it in general into your eyes nor into your mouth. If that's the case, rinse it with water. So let's go ahead and get started. The first step that I'm going to do is now wetting my face, neck and hands with lukewarm water to warm water so it feels comfortable on the skin, and then I'm going to use a bit of cleanser. So now go ahead, use between 1 to 2 pumps, or more or less about a coin size amount, on the palm of your hand. Rub your hands together and then gently massage it over your face and neck for about 30 seconds to a minute. So and now go ahead and again rinse it off with lukewarm water to warm water. When using your cleanser above the sink and not in the shower, which you could do as well, then I recommend using in between a fresh, like a clean washcloth. Those makeup cloths, microfiber cloths, those are extremely soft and can help you to properly remove any residue of cleanser, excess oil, or even dirt and sweat from the skin or flaky skin, so that you can properly take it off the skin before moving on to the next step. Take your washcloth and wet it, and then squeeze it out. And now gently swipe it across your face and neck. So now go ahead and take a clean towel and remove the remaining water drops from the skin surface. This is an essential step to do before moving on to the application of your sunscreen, so that you're not going to mix your sunscreen with the water drops that are still left on the skin surface. This sometimes can cause like layering issues, and then we most often will come across pilling, which is extremely annoying. So to avoid this and to make sure that everything layers properly afterwards, go ahead and remove the water drops on the skin surface by gently patting the towel over your face. Please do not rub. So once you're done with your cleansing step, you can move on to the next step, which would be the application of your sunscreen. Again, this can be a regular sunscreen or a moisturizer that already contains SPF. The one that I'm currently using right here is by COSRX, the Always Soothing Sun Cream with SPF 50. And this one works well for me. It's extremely hydrating on the skin, yet lightweight. So if you should have a different one, feel free to replace it. One thing that won't change is that you should apply your sunscreen 10 to 15 minutes before sun exposure. And if you want to apply it all over your face and neck, including your ears, use about half a teaspoon more or less. If you want to blend it further down and you have more décolletage exposure, use about 1 teaspoon. This is an overall general guide which you can follow. If you still should end up with a bit too much of sunscreen, or it feels kind of thick on the skin surface, you can always reduce the amount, but this should give you an idea that you need to use quite an amount to properly protect the skin so that you can evenly blend it all over. And you can use your sunscreen around the eyes if it does not irritate your eyes. If it should irritate your eyes, please avoid the eye area and wear sunglasses throughout the day, or maybe switch your sunscreen. But other than that, it's completely fine. Just don't get it into your eyes nor into your mouth. And if that's the case, well, then you would rinse it with water, but still try to avoid this part. So I have half a teaspoon right here as a measurement guide so that you can see it visually, which I'm now going to fill up and then evenly blending it all over. So more or less about that much. Then place it on your fingertips and then evenly apply it all over. Make sure that you're not going to miss any areas. So, and once you have applied your sunscreen all over, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And now it is important to give it about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, so that your sunscreen can set before moving on to the makeup steps. So once the waiting time has passed, you now can move on to the next step, which is going to be the application of your primer. Now make sure that you're going to choose a primer that will give it a desired finish. This can be one for a dewy finish, smoothing finish, or even mattifying finish. And when doing the application for your face and neck, use about a bean size amount more or less, but reduce it if you just want to keep the focus on your face or just on your T-zone. You do not need to use a lot of product, but it should be able to evenly apply it and thinly apply it over the areas that you would like to. And so as an example, I have the Ordinary High Spreadability Fluid Primer. I'm just going to add a few drops on the palm of my hand and I'm going to blend it over my face and neck. Now when doing the application, please do not rub too harshly. You still have the sunscreen underneath and you do not want to rub it off. So the gentler you are with your makeup products that you're going to apply on top, specifically talking about the base products such as the primer and foundation, BB or CC cream, be gentle. Do not rub too harsh so that you're making sure that the protection is still given. So once you're done with the application of your primer, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And now you're going to move on to your foundation BB or CC cream. Now, of course, you can apply your base product all over your face and neck, or just where you may just have like an uneven skin tone. This can be a bit of redness, mainly in the center of the face. And you can keep the focus with a smaller brush or your fingers and place it over those areas to even it out. You do not have to apply your base product all over, but still it isn't wrong to do so, and if so, then go ahead and do it. Now, when it comes to the application method, since you have the sunscreen underneath, I recommend going the dry way. So either apply it with your fingers or with a brush. I wouldn't recommend using a damp sponge, because this can break apart, so that you will have like weird spots all over, because your foundation and your sunscreen, since those have like different formulations, do not really like each other, and therefore you can like increase like the likelihood of experiencing those spots, so it does not look that even. Therefore, from my experience and how I've been using my makeup products, it just works best to do it the dry way. So again, feel free to adjust the method depending on what you prefer. For me, this is mainly using a brush, and when it comes to a brush, I like to go with a brush that has like a flat surface. This one is a buffing brush by Zoeva. And so go ahead, take your base product, foundation BB or CC cream, place it on the back of your hand so that you have enough product that you need for your specific areas that you want to cover, and either just take your fingers and start doing the application, or go ahead and take a brush. And then gently place it all over your face and neck, or only where you should have a bit of redness, maybe an uneven skin tone. And try to be gentle again, just as I mentioned with a primer, to not move the sunscreen too much around. So this would be an example on how you can just use a little bit of your base product to even out maybe again the redness or the unevenness that you have on the center of your face, and then you just would keep the product mainly on the center. You do not really blend it outwards towards the hairline. But if you now say, well, I want to use it over my face and neck to evenly blend everything out, well then again, start from the center and then blend outwards. You do not want to start towards like the hairline, because then you are ending up with too much product, and then everything is going to get stuck in your hairline. So make sure that towards the outside you have the thinnest layer possible, so that it won't mess up with your hairline, but that you still have like a smooth and even finish. So I just gently used the brush and mainly like tapped it on the skin, like stamped it on the skin, and then gently swiping it so that I can distribute the product evenly. Now, if you still should have any areas that you want to add more coverage to it, go ahead and do so. And if those would be blemishes, you always can add your, take your finger to do so and then place it on those specific spots. Or again, if you're already using it only with your fingers, then you can go ahead and just use it around those specific areas as well, and maybe add more coverage to it if you should feel the desire. So, and once you're done with the application of your foundation, BB or CC cream, then again, you just are going to leave it on the skin, and now you can move on to the next step, which is going to be setting it with powder. Now, this can be all over your face or just around your eyes or maybe the laughing lines. Now, I still recommend using it around the eyes and at least around the laughing lines, because this is where the foundation, BB or CC cream can crease, especially if you have already fine lines, then it settles into those lines. So it is important to keep that area dry. But for the rest of the face, depending on the finish that you have, or maybe even your skin type in general, you can go ahead and just keep it as it is. If you prefer the dewiness, well then just leave it as it is. But if you want to mattify the entire face, it's fine to use it all over your face and neck too. So go ahead and take your setting powder. Either just take it immediately from the opening right here and just take your brush and stamp on it, especially if it has kind of like a net right right here, this can work extremely well. Or if you just have a lid without like a part in the middle, then you can go ahead and dispense some product onto the lid and then take it out from there. And then just make sure that you're going to use a little bit of powder and tap off any excess so that you're not going to overdo it. So I'm going to keep my main focus now for the eyes. And so there I recommend using a smaller brush if you just usually use it around the eyes. However, of course, a larger brush can just work as well. Now, if it has already creased a bit, take your finger, soften it, like again, blend it over the skin so that you won't like powder those creases yet, but you're going to make sure that everything looks smooth, and then you're going to take the powder to set it. Same would apply for under the eyes. Take your finger again, make sure that there aren't any creases before you're going to set it. So this would be the little bit of powder that I still recommend, so that it's going to crease less on those areas, because you have like kind of dried it down so that it isn't as likely to move around. Now when it comes to the rest of your face, you just can leave it as it is, or if you have more of an oilier skin type or you prefer the mattifying finish, take a larger brush, dip it into the powder, and then gently stamp it on top of the foundation. I do not recommend like swiping it or rubbing it. Just go ahead and basically pat it gently all over, like on top of the foundation. So, and once you have set your foundation BBLCC cream with your powder, then this is the last step, and then there you go on how you can protect the skin yet even it out with the base makeup products, so that you then can now either just leave the house if you like to do it as is, or now continue with the rest of your makeup when it comes to your eyes, brows, or maybe even lips. Then feel free to now use those steps afterwards. But this will be kind of like the base that is still important to emphasize when getting started, especially keeping the focus on the sunscreen, because the waiting time between your sunscreen and your makeup products is essential. Otherwise you're just going to rub off the protection and then you still can't get any sun damage. So therefore keep this in mind when doing this little routine. Now I do hope that you enjoyed this video, that you find it helpful. If you did so, please don't forget to give the thumbs up as well as share it. And if you now want to learn more about how you can use your makeup products after an entire skincare routine, including all the steps, toner, essence, serum, moisturizer, sunscreen, etc., I'm going to leave the video at the end of this video so that you can keep on watching and learn more about it. And this is now what I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!